Okay, good morning viewers. Here comes Maths Live. This morning we're doing Cumulative Frequency 2 and I'll just give it a few minutes, or moments I should say, for some more viewers to arrive and then we'll get started. Okay, so welcome to Maths Live Cumulative Frequency 2 with Mr. Donlan. Good morning folks, good morning Lydia, good morning Alfie. Okay, so 2 people viewers so far, but we're going to get some more viewers this morning I'm sure at some stage. So keep your hair on and we'll be on a big ride to this morning on Cumulative Frequency 2. So without further ado, we'll get going with Mission Impossible. And that's short again for digital management rights and all that kind of stuff. So we're allowed 30 seconds. So free to use 30 seconds. We'll have a little bit of Mission Impossible this morning. Okay, so cumulative frequency. So what did we learn yesterday? First of all, let's go back over some revision and then we'll get into the graph side of things. Okay, so if you look at this table down here, we've already got the cumulative frequency set, well, the frequency set up. Okay, so I want you to write in a something total. What are we doing? A something total for cumulative frequency. Okay, just have a think about that. You don't need to type it in. Okay, and you should be thinking in your heads running total, because that's what cumulative frequency is, a running total, So have a look at this table here. So I'll just fill in some of these blanks. Not blanks, a little bit blurry again my camera. So we've got 5, 18, 12, 4 and 1. Okay, in the interval 170 to 175. Now just to start with, I wouldn't worry too much about these intervals. You just get that A part of the question right, and the A part is fill in the cumulative total column on the table. Okay, so there's our just a reminder, in GCSE your probably best bet is to add a column like that with cumulative frequency down the side. It makes it so much easier. Okay, and very often you're just given that and asked to fill in a cumulative frequency, so it's good to add this on the side. But let's use the proper table this morning. So we've got a 5 to start with. Okay, alright, and let's have a look. If we've got 5, add 18 for the next one, so we're just keeping a running total. So 5 add 18 is 23. Okay, now the next number in line is 12. Okay, so just to recap, we're doing a running total, 5 add 18 add 12. Okay, so what is going to go in that third place? Okay, type your answers in now please. An adjustment to the camera this morning, there we go, that's better. Okay, well done. So answers are coming in now, and yep, okay, 35, that's right, well done folks, 35, because we're adding 12 onto the 18 makes 30, add the 5, so now we're adding another 4 on. Okay, so that's good. And what I said yesterday is one way you could do it is just keep adding them up, going 5 add 18 goes there, 5 add 18 add 12, okay, and so on and so on. But another way, just as a shortcut, is that if you've got these totals already, that number there is the total of those three already, so you can actually do a little shortcut and just add on the next one onto the running total of the 35. So that will give us a 39 and a 40. Brilliant. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so somebody's written in 28 here. Where's that for? '28. Yeah, I'm not sure where that is for 28, but you can see how we've got this running total going on here. Okay, so one thing I can do to check that I've got this correct, okay, is I look at my answer there, and very often in the question it tells you that how many people are in the survey or how many items, and if they match up, you can pretty much be sure that you've not made an error on this question. Okay, so that's why they often give you the total number of people in the survey at the start to give you a little check up there. Okay, so we might as well run through this next one quickly. Alright, and one thing I was saying yesterday, it's more than likely to be on the calculator paper. Well, I'm not saying more than likely, 50-50 I would say. So on this one I'm going to use a calculator in the same way, just in case it's a calculator paper. I'll read these out. I know they're a bit blurry, but first one's 95, second one is 90, so I'm going to put a 95 in the first column because that's 95 matches up. So 95 add 90, so I'm going to go on the calculator. 185. Okay, notice I'm trying to keep these in line. I haven't done a very good job there. Units together, it's always a good idea to do that. Okay, notice on the calculator I've still got the answer there, so all I need to do now, this one's 35 here. Okay, 35, just mark them in, doesn't take a second. So 35, so all I need to do on the calculator is go add 35. 220. It's good to keep in line if you haven't got a calculator for your adding ups. Always good to keep all the units, the place values in line. So I need another 15 now. Add 15. Still on the calculator. All I need to do is add the 15. So that's 235. And then the last one is another 5. So that's 240. And there we go. Okay, little check. It says here, the table shows information the ages of 240 people. That says 240 there. Okay, 240. Just go over it so you can see it. And then our running total there is 240, so we are incorrect. Okay, not incorrect, correct, I should say. Boom. So that's cumulative frequency tables and how we fill those in. So it's not too difficult, is it? And that's what we learnt yesterday. But the thing is, it's only worth 1 mark or 2 marks filling in that table. It's not really that difficult to do. Okay, you shouldn't be getting those wrong though, and you should be taking your time because they're actually easy marks, but don't take any chances with it. Okay, make sure you get those marks, but it's quite easy to do. So the more tricky part is the graphs. Okay, the graphs. Okay, so that's what today's lesson is really about. Let's get rid of some of these from previous lessons, and that's the one that I want to work on today. Okay, so this is a typical GCSE question here. Okay, now if I can, I'm going to try and lower this camera a little bit so we can have a look at the scales. So bear with me for a minute. It is a DIY job camera, so it's doesn't always work brilliantly, but it's kind of doing its job. It's kind of doing its job. Right, that's a bit better anyway. Okay, it's a bit lower down, we can see a bit more what's going on there. Alright, okay, and just adjust the focus a little bit. A little bit blurry. Okay, so I wanted to do this just to kind of have a closer look at the graph and we can see a bit more detail. Alright, how's that? About as good as we're going to get, I think. Just there's a little focus there. Right, okay, let's go with that one. Okay, let's go with that. So constructing the cumulative frequency graphs. All right, now remember what I was talking about the other day. So you've got cumulative frequency curve, cumulative frequency polygon, or cumulative frequency graph. Now if you're lucky, you'll get the words cumulative frequency graph, and that means you can actually choose which type of graphs you want to do. Either a polygon, we're using straight lines, or a curve. Okay, so that's quite handy having that. The three options are two actually are drawn, a polygon and a curve, and the third one is graph, and graph means you can choose your own. Okay, and all the difference is here is whether we join them up with straight lines or a curve. Okay, let's get back onto this then. First bit, 2 mark. Oh, we've got 1 mark here. It does give us the marks. 1 mark on this one. Fill this table in. Sometimes you get 2, but 1 mark. It's not worth throwing away. So let's work through that. Straightforward. So let me write these out in so they're a bit bigger, so you can see them. So first one is 5, and the first cumulative frequency answer is just that number on its own, no change there. And then we do a 5 add 12. Okay, 5 add 12, okay, 23. Okay, and then we've got another 12 to add on. Oh, sorry, hold on a minute. Yeah, 5 add 18. 5 add 18 is 23, and then we add another 12 on. So answers please. I'll just pause for a second. I want you to write down what goes in that box there. Given the fact that the next frequency is 12, what goes in that box? Answers in the comment box please. Brilliant, so we're getting some answers in now. Come on Alfie, Lydia's got her answer in there. Want to see your answer, Alfie, please? Well done, Dylan Fullard. Welcome to you this morning, Dylan. And Lydia Rumsey. All correct so far. Well done, guys. I'm just waiting for Alfie. Okay, so we'll go with that then. 35, well done. Okay, so I'll fill the rest in now. We've got the idea of that. 35, 39, and a 40. And just a little quick check here. 40 matches up with 40 at the top, so we're good to go. Okay, now this is the most important part of the graph, I think, or one of the most important graphs, one of the important things. What we've got to decide is what plots with what. Now, the confusing item, don't. Sorry about that. Just getting some interference from the family. Okay, so going back to the task in hand. So the most important thing here is to get the right plots, the right x part of with the y part of the graph. Okay, and it's a little bit confusing because we have something called estimating the mean, which I'm sure I'll be doing some work on probably next week. Okay, in fact I probably will do it on Monday. Estimating mean, but this is a different concept. The confusing part is it's exactly the same looking table when you start with. So you've got to learn this. It's really important. Okay. So what cumulative frequency is all about is the number of people below a certain score. So we know that 5 people are below a score or height of 175. We know that 23 people are below a score of 180. So if we think about things being below a certain amount or in between a certain amount, then midpoints are no good for this. What we need is the upper bound. Okay, and we've got to learn that. We've got to learn that. We've got to learn that the upper bound goes with the cumulative frequency, and we've got to learn that when we do the estimating of the mean, we're looking at the midpoint. Okay, so the two facts that really need to be learned carefully. Okay, so that's our x coordinate, that's our y. So the first coordinate to plot is 175, comma 5. Just along the corridor, up the stairs, all that sort of stuff, y to the sky, all that business. So before we start diving into plotting this graph, what we need to do is carefully look at the axes. Now, we can fit this in. Zooming in on this DIY camera is a matter of me holding it up, so I'll just try and get it close. So what you can see is between there and there, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 10 little squares, but there's only 5 points. So what happens is for every 2 little squares it's worth 1 unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 little squares, 1 unit. Okay, now on this y-axis part, that's straightforward because it's 10 little squares, 10 units. So before you plot anything, and that goes for any sort of graph or any coordinates, you've always got to check those scales, okay, to make sure you're correct. Now hopefully these should be okay to go with, easily go with, okay, but you've got to check them, okay. Also, you can see a little pattern here: 175, 180, 185, 190, 195. That's not always the case. You can have a jump, a leap at the end, or they could be closer together. So always go back to the table and check your coordinates. Okay. Once you've got the idea, it's just plotting coordinates like a normal coordinate graph. Something else to notice: this graph doesn't start at naught. So when it doesn't start at naught, we should really put a little kind of elastic thing there. It's like getting the graph and scrunching it up. That's why we use that symbol. Okay, let's get plotting then. First one, 175 and 5. 175 and 5. There we go. Okay, next one, 180 and 23. So 180, 20, and 3 little squares. There we go. Okay, next one, 185 with 35. 185 with 35 goes there, right in the middle of 30 and 40. Okay, I know you can do these, that's why I'm going through it quickly. 190, 39, 190, 39, 190, 39, and then the last one's 195 and 40, which is there. And we're looking for some kind of S shape. Okay. Now the other thing is, we know that nobody is below 170, so you can put that in at naught, the 170, but be aware we don't always use this first point. It could be there where the graph starts. Okay, in fact it's only because the graph's crunched up it does start there. So we've got frequency graph, it says, so we can choose between the curve and the frequency graph, you see, curve or polygon. So if it said polygon, we get a ruler and join them up. Polygon. If it says curve, we need to do it in a curve shape. If it says frequency graph, you can decide. I did a polygon yesterday, and here's my graph of yesterday, polygon. So I'm going to do a curve today. Now, a little tip: when you're doing the curve, you should always use a pencil to start with. So here's my pencil. Okay, and if you haven't got any pencils, have a little trip to Screwfix, grab a couple. Don't say I said that though. Okay, so this is my Screwfix pencil. So doing it in pencil first, you can always rub it out if it's not right. Sometimes it's a good idea to turn the page round, especially this bit, because your arm is in a natural arc, and then it's going the other way now, so You've got to go through all of them points. It's not like science where it's a curve of best fit. With this one, you should be going through all the points. There we go. All right. Okay. So need a little bit of a rub out there. Okay. Beauty of having a pencil. I don't know if I've got a rub. Yes. Here we go. Here's a little rubber here. All right. So a little rubber there. There we go. Spot on that is. Now, I'm going to finish off today with finding some measurements out now, because that is the, that's 3 marks, but the big marks are for things like using your graph to find things out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 things really to find, and then we can use the 3 things together to make the 4th thing. Okay, so first of all, we're going to find 3 things, which is called the lower quartile, the upper quartile, the median. Sometimes known as Q1, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, quartile 4. So notice I'm talking about quarters. Okay, best thing to do is start with the middle one, and we're looking at with this cumulative frequency. This is how many people are in the survey. So there's 40 people in the survey. So finding the halfway point, the median, is at position 20. Now, if anybody, mathematicians out there are listening who really know their statistics stuff, okay, you'll know that we talk about degrees of freedom. I don't want to get involved too much in this for GCSE, but there is a little bit of an adjustment to make if you take this further to A level. Okay, so just be aware at the moment, it wouldn't quite be on halfway. It'll be 20.25, but don't get bogged down in that. I think we should learn the basics, and we get away with this because it'll say estimating the mean. So by estimating, we can use the halfway point, okay, for GCSE. So we want the median. There's 40 people in the survey. We want halfway, so that's 20 per 20th person. And draw the line in. I always tell everyone to do this because that is your working out. So median is going to be 17. And remember that these, it's 2 for every unit, so that's half a unit. So that's 179.5. 179.5. Brilliant. Okay, then we've got something called the lowest quarter. Sometimes call this LQ. So find 10, draw a line to the graph, go down, read off the value. Okay, I'm going to call that Q2 median. In the exam, label these so that again it's the working out. 175, 176, 177. Okay, it's kind of two names really. Q1 lower quartile, like times and multiply. Okay, you'd be alright using either of those really, but Q1 is good to use. What did I say? 175, 176, 177. And now we want 3/4 the way up. Okay, so if we know 1/4 is 10, 40 divided by 4 is 10. 2/4, so it's going to be 30. So these work out nice and easy. GCSE questions sometimes are not as easy to work out as that. Straight down there, look. Okay, join them up. So that's Q3, Q1, or otherwise known as upper quartile, lower quartile, Q1. So that's going to be 180, 190, 180, 181, 182, 182.5. Okay, right, so that's brilliant. So they're the 3 main findings. You could be asked for other things, such as how many people are below 190 195 or 192 or something like that. So you just got to read the question carefully and join various lines to the graph and read off the other side. So we've got to read the question carefully. But this is the interquartile range we're working on. They're the three main points. And so we've got this final measurement called the interquartile range. Now going back to basic statistics, the range is the biggest or highest number in the survey. Take away the smallest number in the survey. Okay, or highest versus lowest. Okay, so interquartile range is the highest quarter, which in this case is sorry, we've got Q3 there, that lower quartile, Q3 higher quartile. Let's not get confused here. 182.5. It's getting a bit close together. So the highest quartile number is 182.5, and the lowest quartile range is 177. So we take them away for the interquartile range, so it's basically that distance there. And the reason why that's most important is because that's where most of the scores are, in the middle of the population. Okay, so that's why this little measurement is really important. Okay, so work that out. Okay, I've done it on the calculator, cheated. I shouldn't have, really, straightforward, but I have. So we've got 182.5 minus 177 is 5.5. And that's our range, 5.5 units interquartile range. So thank you for watching this morning. We've covered an awful lot, and I'm going to have a very quick recap on what we've learned today. All this question covers it. So to recap, cumulative frequency, running total. First job is to fill in a table doing a running total of the list, either at the side or in a separate table. Okay. Second thing to remember is when we're plotting a graph, use the upper bound, the biggest number in the interval, which is there. So that means any number from 170 to 175, use the upper one with the cumulative frequency, plot them points. Plot the points first, okay. Decide on whether you're going to join with a ruler or a curve, and that's in the question. Remember, if it just says frequency graph, you can decide. If it says polygon, use a ruler. If it says curve, join them up for a curve. And the final thing that we've learned today is to find three important measurements, which is a quarter of the table of the cumulative frequency, a quarter of the people, which is 10 in our case, and the value of that using the graph going down. The second quartile, which is also the median, which is the middle. Draw a line to the graph and down. You read it off at the bottom. And the third quarter, go to the graph, read it off to the bottom. And the final thing to remember is that when we've got all these three measurements, sorry it wasn't very clear here, we've got median, lower quartile, upper quartile. The final measurement they may ask you for is the interquartile range, which is the upper quartile take away the lower quartile. And the last thing to remember is to read the question carefully, because there might be some sort of problem solving type question linked with that graph. Okay, brilliant stuff. Well, thank you for watching this morning. So I'll be back on Monday at 10 o'clock with the next instalment. I think we'll do estimating the means. They're not the only link is the table, but they're not linked in any other way. But I think it'll be a good one to start the week off. It'll be a one day lesson, 30 minutes probably, if that. So today's been a bit longer, so I apologise for the length, although it's only 30 minutes, and it is me, yo-ho. Fantastic for people watching. Spread the word. We've got a few more viewers today, which is brilliant. Spread the word. I'd like to see more people live. Okay, I'm getting lots of views later on when I post it on Facebook, but I'd like to see a few more viewers on live so we can have a bit more interaction. Well done for the people who've written in their comments today. Okay, so a special mention today for Alfie Howard, Lydia Monks, Dylan Fullard and Lydia Rumsey. Well done you guys for turning up frequently this week. Okay, so Monday at 10. In the meantime, check your Google Classrooms. There's plenty of work for people to be doing, plenty of things to upload and things like that to be working on. And have a great weekend. Great weather for Saturday. Okay, get out there and do some exercise, and I'll leave you with the last 10 seconds I've got of Mission Impossible. Ding, dee, 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 ding.